I'm Matt Hiserman, senior right-handed pitcher here with Coach Giarratano with some questions about his second trip with Team USA this past summer. So Coach, this was your second trip. What was different other than the obvious location from last year, or 2 years ago's trip?
Oh, way different from the first trip. First trip, everything was new. And wearing the jersey on the chest for the first time, didn't know what to expect from a personnel standpoint or how to pick the team or how the whole process worked. And this was a little different in itself because we didn't travel the New England Collegiate League. We stayed in Cary where our home base was, and were able to be there for 2 weeks to pick the team. So it was a little bit easier from a travel standpoint, and it was a little bit easier because I knew what to expect.
So what was your favorite part about it?
I think the favorite part is working with the kids. You know, obviously wearing the jersey and being able to represent, but my favorite part is always the on-the-field coaching aspect of it. You always look forward to going to new places, and going to Asia was great, but working with the players day to day and really seeing how you can make a difference with the consistency was by far my favorite part.
You talk about going to Asia. What was your impression of both China and Japan?
China was a little different. You know, my first impression of China is motor scooters. Everyone drives a moped, and it's interesting to see how they turn, because there's no left-hand turn, so they go into a little box, and the forward traffic goes into a box. And when I say mopeds, I'm talking about 200 mopeds at a stoplight, it seems like, and it changes, and they just scurry for position. But that was Taipei. It's very condensed. It has great culture. It's warm. Tokyo, probably one of my favorite places I've seen, as far as the cleanliness of the city, the discipline, the people, the friendliness, the way that 42 million people can be inside a city and they could all just exist is remarkable.
And that new environment, including the new food, how do you think that affected you and the players on the field?
Well, the food was different, you know. For a guy like me, no Mexican food. I had no Mexican food for a whole month. In fact, when we were in Roppongi, which is a area in Tokyo, we found a place that reminded us of Chipotle, the Mexican food restaurant here in the city, and we ate there. But that's as close as we came to Mexican food the entire time. But you know what? Being in the culture of it and eating their food, and the sushi was great, and the people are great. It's just different. It's not what we were raised on, but we lost some weight. They eat smaller portions. They don't waste food like we do here, and they learn some great lessons about self-control and discipline.
So you talk about the adjustments on the field, or off the field. How about the ones on the field, going from being a head coach to an assistant coach this summer?
I think it was great for me. You know, Matt, anytime. I've been a head coach for 15 years, and the opportunity to go and be an assistant and really appreciate what my guys do. And being an assistant coach is kind of a far stretch because Troy prepared all the documents I would need as the assistant coach to the head coach, but I was so it was great. You know, we put together the hitting charts, the practice charts, and I went there so much more prepared because of what my staff did for me, and then I was able to be a good assistant coach, I hope. But you know, I think the biggest change for me is as an assistant coach, you really have to understand how the whole dynamic works. As a head coach, you take your piece of it and you push it out there, but as the assistant coach, it's a great lesson for me because I've only had an opportunity to do it 2 years as a Division I assistant, always a head coach at junior college, and I've only had 2 chances to do it with Team USA, so it's always great to take a step backwards and appreciate your help.
So this being your second time going into this, what do you look for going in the players and selecting them for the team?
Yeah, interesting because, you know, obviously we're always looking at talent, but most of the players, from a pitching staff standpoint, we had to figure out how they fit for what we were doing. Who could pitch in relief? Who could pitch on not as many days rest? Who could get their work in a short amount of time? And the matchups internationally for me were way better this year where velocity works. When you're playing Cuba and you're playing Japan, velocity is something that really works, in command of that velocity. So we knew that going in, and we picked some guys that we thought could help us be extremely successful in that situation. Our right-on-right breaking battles, our left-on-left matchups were very big for us. Speed was a huge deal for us because we played on turf in all the pro stadiums, so we knew we were going to need speed. The 3 players we had in the outfield were just remarkable as far as being able to run and throw. So we really tried to tailor our team from January when we started to pick it until picking the team July 15th or 14th when we had to pick the team, and that's how we tailored the team around power arms and some speed, and then offensively we had a huge setback when we lost Anthony Rendon to an injury in the first game versus Korea, and that changed our entire lineup. But all in all, it was something where the talent evaluation never really went past the character of the player and how hard that player was going to work for us, and I think the coaching staff did a remarkable job of finding the right mix.
Well, it sounds like you're getting to that gold medal game. Can you describe that game for us?
Oh, the gold medal game was fun. And, you know, I think that's the one thing that no one understands in the world of baseball. If you haven't played at the international level, how good Cuba is, how good Japan is, and how much China is putting into their programs now, Chinese Taipei. They play a brand of baseball that's Major League Baseball. They're powerful, they're strong, they're fast, their arms are great. Cuba was the team to beat. They were hitting 500 in international play with 12 home runs in a 5-game series, and we held them to no runs for 8. We're up 1-0. Big home run by Drew Maggi, who just signed with Pittsburgh. Drew hit a home run to put us up 1-0. In the bottom of the 8th, they hit a home run to go ahead and tie it 1-1. And then we got out of a bases-loaded jam in the bottom of the 9th, no outs, to force it to the 10th inning. And in international play, you could put runners at first and second, no outs in the extra innings. So we bunted, we got a base hit, we went up 3-1. They swung away, fly ball to center. Next pitch, the same guy that tied the game 1-1, hit a 3-run home run with 1 out to beat us. So, you know, we're 1 pitch away from winning another gold medal and having a wonderful summer, but I think all in all it was a great experience. Great experience for everybody.
Talk about a great experience. I mean, you have 25 or so student athletes in a foreign country. I'm sure there's some pretty good stories. What was the funniest one that you can remember?
Well, you know, I think the toughest part, and I'll go to the funniest one, but the food was watching the kids eat McDonald's that never ate it. You know, that's actually, they thought McDonald's was heaven for them. It was like the Ritz-Carlton for the players. So, and they don't eat much fast food. But probably the funniest story were the wins. You know, when we beat Japan in the semifinal game to go to the gold medal game, it was just kind of a release for everybody to have gotten to that level to play for the gold. And the guys did a rap song on the way home on the bus, and George Springer from Connecticut was bouncing in the back of the bus, and you know, there was 25 guys on the bus just having the best time of their life. You know, they had just won in Japan in front of 25,000 people. They beat Saito, who's a hero of Japanese baseball, and you could kind of just see that. So maybe the funniest part was the funnest part, was watching them release that energy and just be kids, just be American kids on a bus with just Americans, because that's something we never really got to do. But that's probably the funnest part of the trip.
How about what's the biggest experience? What can you bring back as far as a learning experience from that trip?
You know, I think the biggest experience for me from a coaching standpoint is just how much the players need the development and the process, and how important it is that they understand where they came from. Because, you know, most of these players in 2008, we have 4 of those players that are playing at the Major League level, and I want them to always remember where they came from with Team USA. But just to represent the country is probably the biggest lesson I'll take with me, is how to wear that uniform, and how a whole nation of baseball players are behind us, and how to teach the game of baseball so that the United States of America is the premier baseball program in the country. And I think I'll take that away with me more than anything, is how can I further USA baseball? How can we continue to be at the forefront of gold medals in world games? How can we get this game back to the Olympics in 2016? And hopefully, if we can do that, I think it's well worth it, because it's a wonderful game.
So Sounds like you had a great experience. Would be interested in doing it for a third time now?
Yeah, always. I do it a lot. You know, I don't know if I can do it back-to-back years. I think I'd like to go one time and be the head coach and experience that. But I'd really like to coach in the Olympics someday. So hopefully I've done enough good things that they'll ask me to come back. But yeah, certainly I'd do it a third time, and it's something that I could see myself wanting to be interested in. And you know, just like all of our other coaches across the country, I want everybody to have a chance to do it. But once you've done it, it's a pretty special deal.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.